Hello, my name is Jumpy. I saw a movie that I'd been meaning to watch for a while. It's called Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, and it was released in 2023. Before it came out, I saw an ad for the film, and I thought it looked perfectly fine, but I didn't make it a high priority to see it originally. However, that all turned around when I found out that it was directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, who previously directed the movie Game Night, which is one that I really like a lot. That movie has a lot of style and attention to detail and a good script, which they didn't write. The duo are credited as two of the three writers for Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Also, one of the people who came up with the story is Chris McKay, who directed Renfield, which I reviewed a few videos ago. Dungeons & Dragons begins in a prison. There we meet Ed, played by Chris Pine, and Holga, played by Michelle Rodriguez from a couple of the Resident Evil movies. They're up for parole, and Ed tells their backstory to the board in a very enjoyable sequence. He was a spy for a group called the Harpers, and this gets his wife Zia killed in an act of revenge. He has a daughter named Kira, and he met Holga at a bar. She was kicked out of her own tribe because of her romantic relationship with a man who wasn't part of the group. Holga feels bad for the kid, so she helps raise Kira. Ed and Holga have a sibling-like relationship, but they don't have any money, so they start stealing things. When she gets older, Kira starts helping them with the thefts. They also recruit a mediocre sorcerer named Simon, played by Justin Smith from the Jurassic World sequels, and also a con artist named Forge, played expertly by Hugh Grant. A wizard named Sophia comes into their lives, and she wants them to help rob the Harpers. Of note here is that there is a tablet of reawakening among the treasure at the keep. So they go without Kira and without mentioning to her that there's the possibility that they could bring her mother back to life. Things go bad, Ed and Holga get caught, and Simon and Forge get away. Ed gives Forge the tablet and asks him to look after his daughter. Back at the parole hearing, Ed and Holga escape and go find Kira and the tablet of reawakening. In the 2 years they were imprisoned, Forge became a lord with the help of the wizard Sophia. Kira's not thrilled to see her father because Forge told her that Ed wanted to steal a tablet of riches. Forge knows they escaped from prison and refuses to give Ed the tablet or let Kira leave. They keep themselves from getting killed and get away and make plans to rescue Kira and retrieve the tablet. They need help, so they reunite with Simon the Sorcerer, who knows a druid that he dated once named Doric. She can shape-shift into various animals, and she's played by Sophia Lillis. They also get assistance from Zank, played by Regé-Jean. A few minutes into the film, it's incredibly obvious that the humorous tone feels a lot like a Marvel movie. That's not a bad thing, since I like those. I took a break from the MCU after Thor 4, but it's been long enough that I plan on catching up at some point and rewatching a few of the earlier ones too. After I finished Dungeons & Dragons, and I'm going to keep calling it that even though I know there's a movie that I haven't seen from the year 2000 with Dungeons & Dragons as its entire title. I looked up the director's other writing credits and found out they previously co-wrote Spider-Man: Homecoming, and now Dungeons & Dragons essentially being a Marvel movie makes a lot of sense. Dungeons & Dragons is so much fun, but it mainly just made me smile with only a couple of times where I laughed pretty hard. Every once in a while there's something clever or unexpected that I found satisfying, but it's not going to blow anyone's mind. I like that the movie is fast-paced and felt pretty small in scale, with the characters having a simple goal of rescuing Ed's daughter and getting the tablet and some riches. I'm not too familiar with Dungeons & Dragons in general. I've played the PlayStation 2 game Baldur's Gate: Dark Alliance in its entirety, as well as the PlayStation 3 ports of a couple of the arcade games. I'm sure there were a bunch of references in the movie that went over my head, but I was never lost. Baldur's Gate gets mentioned a few times, and I know what an owl bear and a mimic chest are. But there are some other really cool beasts in the movie. There's definitely some stylish moments, like a chase scene that looks like it was done in a single long take. Some of the CGI isn't great, especially in that shot, but it doesn't hurt the movie at all since it's not supposed to be taken that seriously and never took me out of it. Another highlight is a scene that takes place in a graveyard, which is very amusing. I really liked the interactions between the thieves. Just them sitting around talking and playing off each other is entertaining. Hugh Grant is awesome as the slimy Forge. I haven't seen him in anything for a while, and I forgot how good he is in general. He was in 3 Guy Ritchie directed movies that I haven't seen yet, so I need to watch those. Thanks for the reminder, Dungeons & Dragons. Overall, I had a blast watching Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. It's consistently very good with no major flaws. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. If it sounds interesting to you at all, go for it. Thanks for watching, take care.